the United States provides some form of justice and due process, even if you don't even speak the language, is someone who would know the value of American freedom and American justice, especially since she legally immigrated from the Czechoslovakia. She not only came from a communist country, but she took up the occupation as an interpreter for her native languages. So I want to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show from the Patricia George translating service, Patricia George. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, truck accident, car accident, motorcycle accident, any type of accident, give the Kapetan Brothers a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call the Kapetan Brothers at 559-498-8000. 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers. We're the Valley's law firm. Folks, listen, this is going to be a fun show. It's someone that I'm acquainted with. I know her down from the courthouse. Do you remember the movie, Marcella, Coming to America?
Yes.
You remember that? Yeah. So I remember on one of the scenes, he gets off the boat, or he's standing in the middle of the street of New York, and he says, "This is America, a free country." And it's just one of those lines that us Americans take for granted. You know, we forget sometimes that America really does represent justice for all and constitutional rights to due process and all those kind of things. Citizen or not, the United States, and let's forget about, arguing over the politics of the day, because that's not what we do on this show, but citizen or not, the United States provides some form of justice and due process, even if you don't even speak the language. Now, you could disagree on the politics of it all, but that's what we do. You don't have to speak the language. You get the same due process rights as anybody else. Now, my next guest is someone who would know the value of American freedom and American justice, especially since she legally immigrated from the Soviet Union, from the state of Czechoslovakia, soon after their breakup, right, from the Czech Republic splitting off with Slovakia, where citizens, I'm assuming, and we're going to ask her, were not offered the same rights and privileges as here in America. But what's beautifully poetic about my next guest is the fact that she not only came from a communist country, but she took up the occupation as an interpreter for her native languages, a job that assures those from foreign countries will have an understanding of the rights and processes guaranteed them in the language of their choice. Politically speaking, you may not agree that everybody should have their right to have their own language spoken in court, but until the time that anything like that changes, she honorably serves a necessary purpose with an interpreting service that covers 5 languages that she speaks: Slovak, Czech, they call it Czech, Ukrainian, and Russian, and of course English, right?
Yeah.
So I want to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show from the Patricia George translating service, Patricia George. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's great seeing you. I can't believe I saw your face, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be you or not, but I've seen you many, many times in the courthouse.
Yes.
Listen, Patricia, we're going to have fun here today. I want to ask you some basic questions about your interpreting service, but then we're going to get into you being a teenage girl and coming to America. Your company, are all 4 of these languages that you speak, were they native, or are they closely related or not related at all in the sense of having to have you learn these native language or these languages?
Just to make some correction, Mark, I'm from Czechoslovakia, which is a satellite republic of Soviet Union. We weren't part of the Soviet Union, but we were under their system.
Okay, I thought it was it one of the states of the Soviet Union or no?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. So
Soviet Union had 15 republics, and then they have a satellite republics, which were part of their economical and political influence.
Right.
That was the Eastern Europe.
You're right. Okay, so Czechoslovakia was always considered a separate country, unlike Georgia and other countries that were all called the Soviet Union.
Correct. Czechoslovakia was its own separate country in Eastern Europe.
Okay. You'd be like the equivalent of, I mean, this is a bad equivalency, but the equivalent of Puerto Rico, which is more of a colony of the United States, but it has a relationship with the United States. You guys had a relationship with the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
It was a heavily communist country, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, the leaders were all communist Soviet, style leaders, right?
Correct. Yes.
Dictatorships?
Pretty much, I would say it was. It was very controlled. It was very indoctrinated by the communist ideology. We were basically socialist country controlled by a communist government.
Right.
And they were all our leaders were answering to Moscow.
Yeah, who was the most famous of the leaders? I'm trying to think of the name back in the day.
From Czechoslovakia was Alexander Dubček. That's
it. Okay.
The system changed in 1968.
Yeah. So during that time, you were, I won't say when you were born because you're a young lady right here. Okay, but during the time, your life, basically, up until the time you came to America at 19 years old, your life was living in a communist nation, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Real quick before we get into it, because folks, I want to go deep into it because I think this is a fascinating story that, many people don't get a firsthand look at. And like I told you when we started, most people we know came to the country when they were young little kids, right? Or they come over when they're older. And to have a person come in and discuss the differences in growing up communist and thriving in an American society is just going to be really special. So your interpreting services cover these 4 different languages. How closely related are the languages?
There are all Slavic languages. Yes, there are.
And is it more of a dialect change between the 4 of them, or is it a very distinct language, even though it's Slavic based?
They are Slavic based, but they are distinct languages.
And you are Slovakian, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Even though you grew up in Czechoslovakia, it changed. It split in, I think, 1993 or so between the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Yes.
Okay. So did you grow up speaking Czechoslovakian or Czech, basically, or Czech, however you say it, or did you grow up speaking Slovakian?
Basically, I grew up speaking Slovakian, but schools, newspapers, radios were in both languages, in Czech and Slovak languages. And then we were mandatory. We have to learn Russian in school.
Right.
Yes.
And the 5th or the 4th language you have is
Ukrainian.
Okay.
I was raised and I traveled to the border with Ukraine a lot.
And the similarity between those two?
It's a little different.
Yeah.
There are Slavic languages, but they are unique their own way.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah. So when you're interpreting, it's a switch of a flick of a switch that you could switch from one to the other, or is it confusing for you to do that?
Well, by all these years, I kind of got a hang of it. But
well, don't say all these years because once again, you're a young girl. So, when you were a little girl in Czechoslovakia, were you allowed to watch American TV?
No, not really. We didn't have many American movies. No American TV, not. But I remember secretly people were listening to Voice of America and Free Europe on the radio.
So even though, as you explained earlier, you weren't part of the Soviet Union, you were still behind the Iron Curtain, as we would say.
Yes.
Yeah, and to young kids out there, if you don't know what that's all about, number one, go back to your history classes and start studying again, because some things happen to repeat themselves, and we always are in a danger of things repeating themselves. But the Iron Curtain was basically the Soviet Union and the countries that surrounded it were behind a basically veil of secrecy that did not allow the Western world to come in, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. When you heard these secrets about the Voice of America and seeing anything? Was it just this fascinating world that you wondered about, or were you just happy in your life in Slovakia?
You know, Mark, we always knew that this is not correct. We always knew that there is something, it just doesn't add up, growing up in this system. People knew because we were listening to Voice of America. Of course, it was heavily interrupted by the government. When you're listening to the radio, there was all these waves coming through, interrupting.
Right, trying to block it out.
Trying to block it out. So we knew that, we have people escaping. Tennis players, I'm a tennis player. Martina Navratilova, first thing she got a chance, she escaped Czechoslovakia. We have Ivan Lendl, suddenly he moves to United States. So we knew there is something is wrong when people are,
I forgot about that. And this is all late 70s, early 80s. Correct. That all this stuff is happening. Okay, listen, we got to go to a break. We are on with Patricia George from Patricia George Interpreting Services, straight via Slovakia and Czechoslovakia. So we're going to be right back with her, and we're going to get real deep into this transition from communism into capitalism in America. So we'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ. Hey folks, it's Marc Kapetan. Are you looking to grow your business or stay informed? The Business Journal delivers local exclusive business news you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe now at thebusinessjournal.com or call 559-490-3481. Subscribe. I do. This is KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, we're going to pot the music down because we're going to give a little bit of advertisement to our guest, Patricia George from Patricia George Translating Services. Patricia George has a translating service here in town that she speaks Slovak, Czech, right? Czech, Ukrainian, Russian. She does interpreting services. Patricia, let me look, because you give interpreter services for criminal cases, which I've seen you on, domestic violence, domestic cases such as marriage licenses, right? Medical cases. You were recently licensed or has it been a while, security clearance for Homeland Security?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that?
You can.
Okay, well, it's out there now. What kind of cases with Homeland Security? Like for immigration cases?
Well, there was mostly immigration cases, mostly with immigration. And then the Department of Defense needed a linguist in that area right now because of the war, what was going on in Ukraine.
Have you been working with that?
I went to get my clearance, and they're waiting for the position to open in Slovakia. They need a linguist in Slovakia, so I'm waiting for the position to open. But they are the ones who send me to
you
my
do
clearance.
Administrative hearings, language lines, I guess telephone lines, right? Okay, and document translation. You've done some movies for Warner Brothers, I understand.
Yes, there was in subtitles for.
Oh, look at this! You did subtitles for Alvin and the Chipmunks. We just interviewed that guy. We interviewed the guy from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, for the song, I had to.
Oh, you did the subtitles for the song.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, listen, you touched on the Homeland Security clearance because of the Ukrainian war. We don't talk politics here, but you have a personal opinion, I'm assuming, as of the Ukrainian and Russian war. Care to share it? I mean, is it something you would basically give a little bit of insight from being growing up?
I hope it will end. That's all what I have to say. We all hope this will end.
Do you see? Do you fear the return of communism in that area?
No, I don't.
Because you think, not because you don't fear, like you don't think, it's that bad of a thing. You don't fear it because the people will never allow it again?
Correct.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
100% sure.
So you were talking about, before we went to commercial, about how people knew it was wrong. You're at this time when Martina's, escaping and defecting, as they called it. You're about in your puberty to teen years, maybe early teen years. How does a teen know that the life that they've grown up in is wrong?
Well, we just knew that there is a West. There is a West, and the people suddenly, we knew that everything is more colorful there.
In the West.
Correct, than it was in Czechoslovakia growing up. Everything was gray in Czechoslovakia growing up.
And okay, it's funny because I'm going to explain my experience in going to Armenia, which was once a communist country. What do you mean it was gray to you?
The colors, Mark, the colors of the cities, the people, nothing was colorful. Everything was just kind of like, we seemed to be, everybody was equal except the communist leaders, and we were all equally poor, I would say.
Okay, so not equally content, equally poor.
Correct.
It's an interesting concept, Marcella, because when I went to Armenia, and we'll talk throughout this, I want to ask her about my experience also too, and compare it with her experience. When I went to Armenia, there's some beautiful parts of the city that are, they have a lot of French, basically influence there. But the parts that were communist is exactly what she's saying. They were gray. The apartment complexes look like projects, and it's just all gray. It's literally all cement. There's no paint, nothing like that.
That's exactly how it was, yeah. The buildings, unfortunately, they destroyed all historical buildings and build these cement humongous communist buildings. You can tell which ones are communist buildings to this day.
They destroyed some of a lot of the buildings because they represented religion and things of that nature.
I don't know. Probably yes. Correct. They tried to get rid of the history, whatever it represented, and just fed their own ideology through even architecture.
Yeah. Can I mention one thing though, Patricia? Is that your shirt that you're wearing is gray today? Hey, let me ask you something. Is your real? How do you say your name? Is it Patricia or Patriska or what?
It's in Slovakia called Patricia.
Patricia. Okay. And George is the full name, or is that shortened?
That's my married name. Yeah.
Married name. Okay. What was the name back in?
Marusova.
Marusova. Sounds much more Slovakian. Yes. All right. There was a young girl that came from Korea. She said, "I couldn't wait to come to America to buy blue jeans." And they asked her, "Oh, because they represented America, blue jeans?" She goes, "No, because they were blue. We didn't get to choose our colors in Korea." And you may have been able to choose colors, but there weren't. The problem with it is the choices, right? There just weren't choices.
Correct. Not too many choices of anything.
And so what did you hear about America as a young girl? What would you hear? That land of plenty type stuff?
Depends who was talking. If it's your teacher in school talking, we were heavily indoctrinated with the anti-American propaganda.
Yeah.
I heard about how imperialistic America is, we literally thought that we will get nuked by Ronald Reagan. He was a president at the time.
That we were going to nuke you.
Correct.
Yeah.
He was a president at the time, and that was when the Cold War was really tense.
Well, I mean, I hate to tell you, but we had the same things. We weren't indoctrinated with it. We didn't talk about it much at all, other than that there was a Cold War and this nuclear arms race. But we would do nuclear bomb drills. So, and the funny thing, Marcella, is they would say, okay, nuclear bomb drill, and you had to get under your desk. And that's supposed to protect you from a nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's crazy.
And you know how they leave part of history? They don't change it completely, but let's say about America, all what we were hearing was Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Really?
Never heard about Pearl Harbor growing up in Czechoslovakia in the history classes. Never. Constantly. They just left conveniently certain things out of the history, and all what was negative about United States, that's what we were fed.
And I guess the difference in that example that you're mentioning is, yes, we also were told to remember Pearl Harbor, but we were also told about Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So we understood that there was two sides to that issue. So,
but we never heard about Pearl Harbor growing up.
Right.
They never mentioned it. Then I remember, I think United States, they went to one of the islands I forgot Grenada at the
Yeah.
time, and that was a big constant
Yeah.
hearing about
When
that.
we invaded Grenada for a few
Grenada,
days.
that
Yeah,
was in
right.
the
Or
80s.
was that? Yeah, no, that was us. Yeah, that was the Falklands was England and Grenada was America. Yeah,
Everything what they could use negatively,
but
influence.
but secretly you kept on hearing these rumors about America.
Correct, we did, and again, people escaping, people
Yeah.
escaping. So why would people want to escape to America if it would be so bad?
So when, as a little girl, did you say in your mind, one of these days, because you didn't know at that time that there was going to be the fall of the Soviet Union. There was not glasnost or perestroika or anything like that. So you didn't know that. Did you have in your mind, one of these days, Mom and Dad, I'm gone, I'm out of here?
I think for most of the people, it was a dream. Correct. For some, we had it. Yes, America was like the dreamland.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was. We always thought,
Do you remember when it was? What was it before the Velvet Revolution? I think it was that you guys had a Velvet Revolution.
1989.
1989. Was it before that when you thought maybe I could have a chance at it? Was it before that you started dreaming that one of these days I'm going to be in America?
Yes, I was, but the border was closed. But the dream was always there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thoughts of actually escaping, like going through the dangers of escaping?
No, it was too dangerous.
Too dangerous.
I mean, people did it when they went on vacations to like Croatia, and they were able to escape to Italy,
Right.
like that. But I was too young still, and it was too dangerous.
Was it things that you could actually, in the confines of you and your family's home? Well, let me ask you this. Was Mom and Dad hardcore communists, or were they also open to the fact that one of these days we would love to get out of here?
No, they weren't hardcore communists, but everybody, if you wanted to accomplish something, if, like, for example, me, I wanted to go to university, the first question on the application for the university, it wasn't your grades, it wasn't the high school you graduated, it was, are your parents members of the Communist Party? That's the first question. And if that was no, you had no chance almost to be admitted to the university.
No kidding.
My parents were members, they never believed in it.
Yeah, but
conveniently,
it got them. It kept them above water as far as that's concerned.
Correct. That was the first question for the application.
And you did 1 year in Slovakia?
Correct. I did 1 year of physical education and sports university in Bratislava, Slovakia.
So you were already into tennis and physical education at that point. All right. We're going to talk after the break about you being a tennis star and coming to America. We are on with Patricia George. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Hey folks, it's Marc Kapetan. Are you looking to grow your business or stay informed? The Business Journal delivers local exclusive business news you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe now at thebusinessjournal.com or call 559-490-3481. Subscribe. I do. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ at kmjnow.com or wherever you stream. You could check out all of the podcasts at kmjnow.com, and you could send your friends over to KMJ's podcasts at kmjnow.com or get the KMJ app. And if you missed today's show, you could listen to it or send it to some friends, or in all the KMJ shows you could listen to at kmjnow.com and the podcast app on your Apple phone, iPhone, whatever you want to call it. So, all right, folks, we're back on with Patricia George from Patricia George Translating. She translates Slovak, Czech, Ukrainian. How do you say it? Russian and Ukrainian?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, we're talking about her time in the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia when it was back in Soviet times and behind the Iron Curtain, basically, and her transition to the U.S. You eventually came to the United States on a tennis scholarship or what?
Yes, tennis scholarship.
And so this is about the year of, or maybe the year after the full transition, where there was Czechoslovakia was broken up into the Czech Republic and into Slovakia, and you now had your freedom, right?
No, Mark, Czechoslovakia broke up in 1993 from Czech Republic. Slovakia broke up. But this was a Velvet Revolution in 1989 when Mikhail Gorbachev became a general director of the Communist Party in Soviet Union, and he started perestroika.
Right. So I understand glasnost, and I never understood until I was researching your thing. Glasnost was basically a term that they used back then that was the opening of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, even almost freedom of religion again. And then there was perestroika, which was basically the dismantling of the Soviet Union because the economy was so bad. However, they were hoping and intending on keeping the socialistic structure, and then it eventually just devolved into capitalism because that's the natural state of things.
Completely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how does this come about? Do you apply? Did someone hear about you? Were you in your country renowned for your tennis abilities?
Finally, we could travel
to
the Western world. That happened after 1989. So 1990, I was visiting my uncle in Canada, in Vancouver, British Columbia. I played a tennis tournament over there, and someone from Fresno State, he was on the men's team. He saw me, and he informed me that Fresno State might need a player that he will tell the coach about me.
Wow.
So it happened just...
And still never been in the United States yet?
No.
Okay. You got an approximation of it being in Canada because they're like our big brother or little brother, however you want to see it. Was the Canadian trip the first time into the Western world?
I was in West Germany before. I was playing there for in a club tennis. That was a year before. Once we could travel, it's like the floodgates open and everybody was out. Everybody was traveling out of the country.
So do you recall, so eventually they reach out to you, Fresno State, or you reach out to them?
I think the coach, I just can't remember now, the coach reached out to me, correct.
And you eventually get the invitation or the applications approved for you to come over here.
Yes.
This is 1991, I think it is?
1991, January 7.
Yeah, January 7. You remember that, yeah, right? You're 19 years old.
Yes.
You've spent 1 year in college with the communist indoctrination continuing into your college years, etc.
Yes.
And you fly into where?
Well, I flew to Fresno, California.
not maybe the dream, no. Arrival that you may have thought.
This was before internet, before cell phones. So all what I know, I was coming to California,
and
expecting.
Yeah, you landed on this flat, dry place, and you said, "I'm going back to Slovakia."
No, not yet, but yeah, I was a little bit shocked. It was a shock.
Folks, I had this big, plan of having her tell her story about she saw the skyline and kissed the ground and said, "I've come to America. I've arrived," but you landed in Fresno.
Yeah, all what I saw was fog, and I was looking for mountains. I couldn't see, and some hills. All what I saw was flat land. I was like, I don't know.
Oh my God, that just changed the whole story. Oh my Lord.
Dreamland.
Oh my God. Okay, so who greeted you? The tennis coach?
Yes, the tennis coach came with her husband. They were very nice.
Oh
yes.
My God. And you go where for your first day in America?
I went to somebody's apartment. I think it was one of the girls who was on the tennis team, whose parents were from Slovakia also, but she was born and raised here. And she spoke some Slovak, little bit. And her name was Valerie. She was very nice. And so I stayed with her in the apartment before the dorms opened at Fresno State.
You spoke no English?
I spoke some English, Mark.
You learned it from where?
Just once the country opened up, there was more opportunity to learn English.
But it wasn't like you're from, some of these countries where they say, listen, you're going to learn your language, but you're also going to learn English because that's the language of international, because that's not what you guys did back in that country.
No, the English wasn't encouraged at all. Russian language we had to learn.
What's the first thing that hit you that you said, wow, this really is America, this really is different?
All kinds of people, all the different people, Asians, different,
So it wasn't a food or a site or the ability to go shopping or something like that?
No, I noticed the students, suddenly I see all kinds of nationalities, which never had that in Czechoslovakia.
How about the colors of the houses, the clothing people were wearing, things like that.
Yes, once the sun came out, after the fog.
Yeah, right.
Nice cars.
So basically, Fresno, when you arrived, was just as gray as
foggy.
Slovakia.
Yes.
Oh my
I remember that was just foggy.
I went to Armenia, and I had you've now been here for a number of years, since 1991, and I had I walked up to a young guy, and I said, I still see the Soviet signs. I said, what's better, communism or capitalism? And he says, well, of course, capitalism. And, because he was a business guy, everything. He said, but go ask those two old people over there. And so I asked him, and the one guy says, well, I like capitalism, but talk to him. And he says, communism, I like communism better. I said, why? And he said, in capitalism, you go to a store, you have any color shirt you want to buy. You go for ice cream, there's 31 flavors, Baskin Robbins. He knew about it. He said, you can have anything that you want in any flavor that you want as long as you have the money to pay for it. In communism, everybody has everything, but there's one of everything. There's one flavor ice cream, vanilla. There's one color car, gray or whatever. And that's sort of what you're explaining.
Yes, that's how it was. It's, and I was a tennis player when I was growing up. And that wasn't... I'll tell you the story. That PE teacher from my elementary school came to me and she said, we really don't like for you to play tennis. And I was like, why? She said, well, because that's a capitalistic sport. Pick something which is like a collective sport, basketball or a handball or something like that. We don't really encourage.
Because it's a single player, individualism.
Individual sport.
And they don't want individualism.
They don't want individual sport. But people were still, like my father, he fell in love with a game of tennis. So that's why I was able to, play tennis. So people still, were doing it. But was pretty much discouraged.
But even with a sport and a hobby, they're telling you what you should do. And young kids don't understand that these days.
Yeah. And, even in tennis, one racket, there was two types of rackets, clothing, just one clothing type, tennis shoes. We just had one. So between you and your dad, though, that had to be a sense of not fear, maybe, but you're basically bucking the system. You're going against the grain. Some people did, yes.
And you have the fear that maybe there's consequences for that.
Somewhat. Yes.
Somewhat. Yeah, it eased up by the time that you really got into it, though.
Yes. Then the late 80s weren't as bad as early 80s or late 70s. Late 80s when we felt like it's being we can breathe easier, not to be as afraid.
Literally breathe easier. Yes. Yeah. How about that?
That's what. Yeah.
All right. All you young woke kids out there, remember, listen to this story. We're going to be right back with Patricia George from Patricia George Translating via Slovakia. I keep saying that. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Hey folks, it's Marc Kapetan. Are you looking to grow your business or stay informed? The Business Journal delivers local exclusive business news you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe now at thebusinessjournal.com or call 559-490-3481. Subscribe. I do. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. We're back on with Patricia George. I'm getting right back into it because it's a fascinating story. During the break, Patricia's a interpreter. She does all the Slovak languages down at the courthouse and everywhere else. And it's funny, during the break, we were talking about my nephew being named a Russian name, Nikolai, even though we're full-blooded Greek. And you said, oh, like the Romanovs. And what were you saying about Tsar Nicholas and the Romanovs?
That we never knew the story, that they got killed by the Bolsheviks.
That is so wild.
Kept away from us completely. All we were worshiping was Lenin, Lenin, Lenin.
Yeah, we learned. I mean, that was a big story in history class. About how the Tsar and the Tsarina and the kids were all killed.
No, never heard about it until the system changed.
And there was also the rumor that Alexandra, the daughter, I think it was Alexandra, had lived and was somewhere in hiding all these years. Never proven true or anything like that. But you never heard any of that stuff. Oh, it was the stuff of legends around here.
No. They just told we were worshiping the revolution, how the working class finally got hold of, the wealth, and never mentioned the Romanovs, what happened to
That's
them.
unbelievable that they could keep that.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, the internet wasn't around like you said earlier,
Yeah.
but that's just phenomenal. The one big thing what was the first thing that you bought that you said, I'm in America, I'm going to buy this? Do you recall?
I think I bought licorice, Mark.
Oh, I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say liquor. Okay,
No,
you said licorice.
the red, I remember the red licorice.
The red one, not the black one, right?
No, the red ones. I never. And I remember I ate a lot of donuts. We didn't have donuts.
That's great. And you went to the 31 flavors Baskin Robbins, probably.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You go back, huh?
Yes, every year.
No problems going back or anything
No,
like that these days.
absolutely no problem.
You also, I understand, you go to Mexico, to New Zealand, you travel a lot.
Yes, I traveled. Fortunately, they just sent me to interpret to Bali, Indonesia, believe or not.
They sent you? Who sent you?
It was through the company,
No
because
kidding.
my court interpreting is just one part of my business. But lately I've been interpreting for different companies, and this was just a company out of Utah called Young Living. They have essential oils, and they have a big award trip for the European for the European members.
Market, yeah, or
And
members.
yeah, so they needed a Czech interpreter in Bali, Indonesia. So I was
Good for you.
fortunate enough to.
And
go
that private
there.
money's a lot better than the court
Yes,
money, huh?
and it's way more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way more fun and way more.
I understand you love Japan.
Yes.
I'm going there in 2 weeks. Oh, yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Probably be there by the time this airs. Your husband speaks Japanese. Is
Correct.
he Japanese?
No, my husband is born and raised. No, he's white. He was born and raised in. He's actually from Lemoore.
Yeah.
He went to Riverdale High School, but when he was 14 years old, the Kerman had a friendship city in Japan.
Right.
So
Oh.
he went as a 14-year-old, and he fell in love with Japan and Japanese culture, and he started teaching himself Japanese, and he's fluent in it.
He's fluent in it.
Yes.
Oh, that's so
He
great.
loves Japan. We went 5 times, I think, or at Japan, and I'm envious you going.
Yeah. Oh, this will be my 4th trip there. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so you know.
Australia, New Zealand. You saw the glowworm. Did you see the glowworms in New Zealand?
No.
You don't know that?
No.
Yeah. Mexico, you go every year?
Yes, because my parents like it, so they like to go.
Oh,
to Mexico.
really?
Yeah.
What
they
part?
travel everywhere, Mark. But it's usually resort.
Let us know, and we'll meet you in Cabo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a place down there, so we'll go down there and meet your parents. Philippines, too?
Yeah, we went to Philippines. One time my husband was working with Manny Pacquiao, the
Oh, yeah?
the
Oh,
boxer.
no.
Yeah, so we went there for 2 weeks.
What's your husband do?
He was in marketing,
Yeah.
and he was, working there.
Oh, that's
with him,
exciting.
and that was fun.
Especially to be in the Philippines with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
He's hugely famous there.
He's very nice too.
Oh, yeah.
Very
He
nice.
seems that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Down to earth,
Okay, but now to serious business, okay? You rescue Dobermans.
Yes.
One of my favorite dogs.
How?
My neighbor had a Doberman, and I remember it being so sweet and gentle, even though I know that it could, do some damage. And when it got to know me, if anybody walked by, it would come and it would sit on my feet, and it would turn and it would face outward, and it would just scan anybody walking by. And he also had a little dog as his little buddy at the house. And he would make sure to always stay in between anybody else or any other dog in that little dog. And so they just have this wonderful protective sense to them.
They're highly intelligent and very loyal, yeah.
How many do you have?
2
Yeah.
for the rescues. Just by accident. We never planned to have one. We had 3 cats when one of the family who I interpreted in the past asked me if I can help them to find a home for their puppy girl, Doberman girl. I said, yeah, no problem. Well, I found her a home.
Your
I
place.
just was amazed by the dog,
Yeah.
just, following me. There are Velcro dogs, just want to be with you constantly. And then, of course, we had her. Then I'm on about 8 Doberman Facebook groups, 3 other Doberman, shows.
Oh, you're on their
and
Facebook groups? Are you? So you're participating in the
Yes.
rescues and everything?
Yes, yesterday I picked up one who was going to be euthanized here in Fresno, and I drove him to Sacramento. To the foster family there. So
Your 2 dogs are named what?
Joey and Daisy.
Joey and Daisy, not even
And-
Slovak names.
No, and Joey was picked him up 24 hours before they were, we grabbed him from LA shelter.
Well, do not call my brother John, because he loves all those type of dogs like that. So if you brought him a puppy, he would be
Oh, really?
holding him like a little
Good to
baby.
know.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good to know.
That's funny.
No, it's just,
That's
happened.
great. Good
But
for you.
they are wonderful dogs, and I wish the spaying and neutering would be more affordable for for people, because that way we won't have so many
Absolutely.
ups on the street. Right now it's almost it's quite crisis
Absolutely.
right now what's going on with the dogs.
You still playing tennis?
Yes.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Really? You a member of a club here in town?
Ciora Sports and Racket Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, still.
You keep it up. How far did you get in tennis when you were in Fresno State?
No,
And
I just play for the team. And
any
I got,
awards or anything like that?
Oh, just play on the team. Won some matches, lost some, and.
Did you ever meet Martina?
Yes, I met her 3 times. Yeah,
Oh.
I did. Yeah, I met her in U.S. Open.
That had to be a thrill, huh?
Yeah, she's nice.
Yeah.
But she also had a book out when she talked about it, how she escaped from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, how she escaped. Yeah. That was big news here in America when that happened. Yeah.
And they were all, and when they used to travel, these tennis players, professional tennis players, they always had some kind of a communist
They had
person.
basically guardians.
Guardians.
That had to walk with them, escorts the whole time.
That all these athletes.
I mean, literally at the hotel rooms, they're escaping out the kitchen back doors. And that guardian, if he went back there was trouble for him when he went back.
Yeah. Lots of hockey players escaped like that.
Yeah.
To United States, to Canada. We have that's what we were confused at first. I said, why are all these people escaping?
Yeah.
The second they get a chance to go out, all these famous people, we
lose them all.
Yeah,
we're losing all of them.
So they cannot be that bad.
Okay, famous people. When you got to America, who was the one that you watched the movie, you listened to the music? Who was the guy that you always, or the girl that you always thought was the one you wanted to meet?
Who was that?
Madonna?
No, I don't even know.
Elvis Presley?
Yeah, Elvis Presley. He actually, we got his songs, My father doesn't speak much English, but he loved Elvis Presley.
He loved Elvis songs.
He doesn't speak actually any English, but he memorized the songs.
And he would sing it back there, huh?
Yeah.
In very quietly, so that the Communist Party didn't hear.
In the basement.
Really, right?
But Elvis Presley, that was the one.
That's beautiful. But Patricia George, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Patricia George from Patricia George Translating. If you have any Slovak language needs, please give her a call. You got a phone number?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
559-779-1089.
559
779
779
1089.
1089. We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. Thanks to my wonderful producer, Marcella Solorio Taylor. This is KMJ. I didn't say thank you for being on the show. That's good.
No,
It's implied.
Want to say it, and then I'll add it.
That's implied,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's good, Mark.
Oh.
KMJ. I didn't say thank you for being on the show. That's good.
No,
It's implied.
Want to say it, and then I'll add it.
That's implied,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's good, Mark.
Oh.